Hello everybody. I was just thinking, with all the Christmas trees in the air, about some of my Christmas trees that I've been trying to bonsai over the years, and I just thought I'd show you this one. This was a little Christmas tree that my daughter bought as a kind of tabletop decorations. I think she spent £1.50 on it, something like that. You can see it's actually still got a little remains of a little Christmas ribbon on the top. It was white. It was just pure white, covered in this awful fake snow stuff. After Christmas she gave it to me and said, "Do you want to try and bonsai it, Dad?" And I took it and I thought, well, it's never going to survive. It's got zero chance. It's not going to be able to photosynthesize. It's just going to suffocate under all that fake snow. But I took it and smiled and said, I'll see what I can do. So I've been duly watering it when I watered everything else, and then all of a sudden I noticed green tips on some of these white branches. And if I bring the tree in a little closer, you'll see that there's a lot of dead stuff in the center, which obviously I need to remove. But you can see that from the trunk to here was covered in the white fake snow, which a lot of which is washed off, faded away. But all of this section here, from here to here, is fresh new growth that has erupted from that. And so I think I need to get rid of all these dead branches. But this could be a nice little formal upright tree. Give you a quick 360. I mean, it depends what the nabari looks like. It could possibly be windswept. But I've said to other people in the past, don't buy those, they're a waste of time, the tree won't survive. But maybe I've just been proved wrong. Now, I don't actually have an appropriate pot to put this in at the moment. However, I can see from the roots that we've got a lot of wasted space at the top here, which I'm just going to cast to one side to try and see if there is any kind of nabari. This has just been thrown into this pot, really. They don't give them a lot of care and attention. I don't think they expect them to properly survive. I think they expect most of them to end up in the bin sort of, first week in January the following year. So just comb out the roots a little bit. Should never bear root. A conifer tree. Hasn't got a classical nabari. It's got a couple of large interesting roots that side. Nothing much the other side. So I might just remove those two offending roots till I can find a more level nabari. So just pull those out. Another couple there, which I shall remove. And that brings us down to something that looks a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Not perfect. There's another high root there which I shall get rid of. Okay. Now, just give it a nice bit of taper there as well, which is nice. Going to remove some of these lower branches, like so. Which I think I've said in other videos, it almost automatically makes the tree look more grown up if it's got higher branches up, because trees generally tend to lose their lower limbs. I think that's partially in combating, you know, lower limbs getting eaten by deers and things like that, browsing animals. So yeah, there's already the beginnings there of something, and I think I'm leaning towards that as a front, as a much cleaner look up the stem. As I say, I haven't got an appropriate pot to put this in for the time being, so I'm gonna pop it back in its original pot and remove a few of the roots, like so. I'm going to pop it back in its original pot, but with some bonsai soil around it for the roots to grow out into. And then, well, who knows, maybe I'll get something interesting for Christmas, or maybe I'll have to hunt for something in the future. This will give it something crunchy to get its roots out into. Well, that's better, that's good. Now, this was a potted, a pot grown tree, despite the fact of what I said about it being for the throwaway market. It was still grown in the pot. If you're looking to get a Christmas tree and keep it, even if you only want to keep it as a Christmas tree for next year and you're just going to look at keeping it in the garden, you want to look out for a pot grown tree as opposed to a potted tree or a cut tree. Well, obviously a cut tree has no roots at all, so you're on a hiding to nowhere. A potted tree is generally a tree that's been grown in the field, is then dug up just before Christmas. The roots are hacked back so that it will fit into a pot, and then they stuff in enough old compost so that it will stand up straight. It has very little in the way of feeder roots, and is very unlikely to survive such treatment. Whereas a potted tree is a tree that's been grown in a pot from being quite young, and will have a pot full of roots like this one had, and is much more likely to survive whatever you throw at it. Now, just looking at this tree, I'm gonna remove a few of these branches that are coming out to the front, and some of these branches where it's a little bit congested, to try and make it look a little bit more sparse. I don't like any of those. That's better. Now, as we often get, you've got a sprawl of branches coming from more or less the same place. So I'm going to start removing some of these branches that are all coming out of the same spot. I don't want to remove everything because the tree's got to have some to rely on and to photosynthesize on, but I do want to make it look a little bit airier in some of these places where it's, you know, really quite congested. Okay, so So it may not look like much at the moment, but we'll give it a few years, and some pinching and some growing and some pinching some more, and hopefully we'll begin to have something that looks sort of halfway decent. I may need to wire a couple of these branches, but I'm not going to do them now. They're a little bit young, and I'm just going to crush in all this foliage. All these little hairy bits will fall away over the next few months. Now, so there we have a little bonsai tree from a Christmas tree. Try and just thin the top out a little bit, trying to achieve that kind of pyramidal look. Let's give you a quick 360. Now again, I would not try this with a tree that you've just got, unless it is pot grown, in which case you might have a chance of doing it. But this tree has had a year to grow on, and it's been fed and is quite strong before it's had this process done to it. Okay, so I will do another one of these videos after Christmas with some of my other spruce Christmas trees that I've acquired over the years, and perhaps look a little bit more in depth with some larger trees. But for now, this is your kind of Christmassy episode, as it were. Thank you all for watching. Happy Christmas, everybody. Please, please, please do take care of yourselves. Stay safe.